Hello everyone, Ron here from L.T.L Tutoring Central, and if you're looking for tips and strategies to help with your learning, you are in the right place. This week I'm answering a student's question: what is the meaning of study? Now this could be seen as a very small question or a very large question depending on how you view it. I'm going to start with a dictionary definition and then we're going to expand upon that. So here is the Oxford English Reference Dictionary definition: the devotion of time and attention to acquiring information or knowledge, especially from books. Now, of course, they go on with many definitions of the word study because it is a word that's used in many ways, but this is the first essential definition that they provide. Now, I think that is a fairly good general definition. I think that's the way most people think about study, or what is the meaning of study. But I think that you need to go well beyond that. I think when most people, most students think about studying, they think about work, which is almost a dirty word these days, and they think about reading, yes, and maybe taking notes, and then practicing those notes. And then they stop. And I think that is a bit of a mistake. I don't think it's a mistake to read. Obviously, that's very good. I don't think it's a mistake to take notes. That's also very, very good. And rehearsing is very good. Looking at something over and over again is also very good. But I think that you don't want to do it just blindly. I think that the meaning of study is to do something with the information. So definitely you need to get that content information. It shouldn't just arise out of nowhere or come off the top of your head. If it does, that's sort of a theory or a hypothesis, and you still need to seek out content information or facts or do some experimentation, something to prove that that information is actually knowledge or could become knowledge. That's how we learn, and that's how we gain new information for ourselves and possibly for the world if you're discovering something new. So we do want to learn from books, but I wouldn't say especially from books, particularly nowadays. You can learn from many, many things. Obviously, books are still incredibly important, whether you're using an actual book in your hand or whether you're using books online or other kinds of texts online. But also think of all the things that you can listen to. Certainly the lectures. Don't skip teachers or professor lectures. Often there's information there that you won't get out of the book, or it's presented in a way that it isn't presented in the textbook. So that's very important, but also listening to other avenues of information, such as videos and podcasts, things of that nature. So you can certainly use books and text, but you can also listen. There's also a kinesthetic component to learning. That's movement. That can be as simple also as taking notes, although I shouldn't say that's simple perhaps. It's not simple for a lot of people. But I think the act of writing, the act of printing, the act of doing something with your notes physically on the page, or not so much on the computer because that's typing and it is not the same as writing. You don't get the same kinesthetic benefit as you do from actually writing. So I would still, as I often do, suggest writing out physically with your hand and some paper, some notes, at least the most essential or the most important notes. Then you can type or copy others into the computer or whatever device you're using. There's also the idea, I think, of moving around when you're learning. You can't do that all the time. You can't do that in class, but you can do that at home often when you're doing things for yourself. And so you can pace. I do all the time when you're reading something or when you're practicing something, when you're rehearsing a speech, for example, or you're trying to learn something new. You can move your body, and that can help you to gain the information or retain the information. There's something about that physical movement or that kinesthetic learning piece. So, and you can use your other senses at times as well, particularly if you're doing things like science experiments where you will be using your touch and your smell, all of your senses to learn something. And that's study. But study is working with the information. So if you truly want to learn it, you have to do something with it. Now that can be all mental exercises, but it still needs to be there. I don't think that simply reading and taking notes and being done, I don't think that that is sufficient. I'm not sure that that's even study. That's practice and it's rehearsal, which is a part of study. But the study piece for me comes when you're able to take that information, say it in a new way, or connect it with other pieces of information, perhaps from the past, perhaps from other texts, other books, novels, plays, history, science, whatever, or things within your life, or things within current events, what's happening right now. So being able to manipulate the information, being able to do something with the information, that's true study when you're actually going to be learning something new for yourself, and then you will be able to retain it for the future. So don't limit yourself to what is the meaning of study, work, read, take notes, work, read, take notes, work, read, take notes, or show up to class. No, that's the basics. That's the foundation. But then you have to go well beyond that. If you want to do the best, if you want to reach your peak performance, you can probably get by with that. Read the book, study, take your notes. But I think if you really want to go beyond that, study can mean so much more. So try to involve as many of your senses as you can, even if it's just in your imagination. If you're reading something and it's describing something, use your imagination to picture it, to smell it, to touch it, to move with it, to have all of those senses engaged, and that will make you more interested in it for one thing, and also it will help you to remember it in the future. Now, having given that long explanation, maybe they just meant a room in which you learn, a room in which you work, because that's also called a study, but that would not be the verb form, that would be the noun form. A study is a place where you go to practice, to do all of the things we've been talking about, reading, taking notes, and then doing something with your notes, working with the information that you've gathered either from lectures, textbooks, or other data information on the internet, etc. So your study could just be a place that you go to in order to study. So that could also have been the meaning of the question. It was online, so I didn't have much to go on. I hope I have answered that question, and I hope that you all recognize that study is not a bad word, neither is work. It's okay. Work can be difficult and bad at times, but you always have to find a way to make it more interesting for yourself and make study and learning less of a work chore and more of a hobby, more of something that you recognize is good for you. You might want to do that with your work, whatever that is too, if you can possibly figure out a way of thinking about it in a different way. It might make your life easier, although for some jobs I know that's tough. But nevertheless, think of study and learning as a positive benefit for yourself. I've mentioned this lots of times before, and you'll find that it's a lot easier if you go into it thinking, this is something I want to learn. I'm going to learn something new today. Isn't this great? That's a much better attitude, and you'll find that you learn better, quicker, and more completely if you go in with that positive attitude rather than, oh, this is work, I have to study, oh, it's horrible, when will it be over? You know, first of all, you learn very little because you really want to just get out of there, and secondly, what little you learn you probably forget very quickly because it's horrible. But it isn't horrible. So think of learning in a positive way, and I'm sure you will do very, very well indeed. All right, before I babble any longer, that's it for my answer about study. If you'd like to get in touch with me, my name is Ron, of course. There's the website, www.tutoringcentral.com, and I'll leave a link below if you're watching on YouTube. On the website, you can get your free copy of Student Survival Guide, Become an A+ Student. You can also check out the online courses that I have on Udemy, or email me for more personalized lessons. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, you can send them by email, or you can leave them just below this video if you're watching on YouTube. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you do. I hope you do, and I will be talking to you soon. In the meantime, Keep learning and keep having fun.